All right, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the Southern Comfort Podcast. How y'all feeling? Kev, how you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I love how you don't even try to guess what episode it is no more. Guess you tired of being
Yeah,
wrong.
I'm listening, tired of being wrong, and uh, we got them. They in there, right? Like, w- you know, 35.
Nice.
So, the voice of God, aka Stu, is telling us that we are episode 35, but we've had five guests, special guests. So it's really episode like 40 something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Episode 39, I think. So I was
Okay.
about to say we should be crossing over into 40 episodes, and right now the plan is to go to the end of the year before taking a brief little break. So we'll clear 50 episodes, man. So not bad.
Hmm. You know. Yeah. Yeah. So last week, well, was off the heels of a very victorious election day for Democrats, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um Kind of complicated the narrative that the party is kind of in disarray.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we can go a little bit deeper since we're a week away off of election day and talk about how fundamentally things are now starting to shift
Mm-hmm.
in Democratic politics and in Republican politics right now, right? Like, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene doing her, her back and forth. She thinks she's doing double dutch now, like, she
Mm-hmm.
jumping
Mm-hmm.
in. You got Nancy Pelosi announcing her retirement.
Mm-hmm.
You got Gavin Newsom, you know what I'm saying? He turned into the Maverick, Tom Cruise of Top Gun of the Democratic Party right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, we got Democrats still staring down the shutdown.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, um, given the holiday season coming up, who knows what's really going to happen there. And then you got, wins all across the board in key battleground states and, key national areas. And so I think we just need to kind of continue the conversation we had about last week about what does this really mean, the path going forward. Right now, there's I think you said a sea change, or is it just a sugar high? Right, like
Yeah.
you know.
Pe- yeah, people have, I've saw some articles and commentary, people talking about it's a sea change, the Democrats are back and all this other stuff. But I think it's a sugar high. I think we should not be delusional in misreading this, right? The electorate is frustrated with the Republicans, and they are
Uh-huh.
frustrated with the current administration because the current administration has not brought down the cost
Uh-huh.
of daily life on people. They feel like they're distracted and not focused on that. And that's what that was about, right? We've talked a lot about the Democratic brand, our branding problems. None of that's changed. They don't like us again, right? They are reacting to their dissatisfaction with the Republicans, and beyond that, we shouldn't read much more into our current standing. But what we do know from the elections is that they want to hear plans. They want to know that you're focused on affordability and they're willing to give you a shot. And we also know that you can build a broad coalition, right, around those issues, and that could be successful electorally. But you still have to go out and do the work. And within a lot of these communities, we still start at a deficit. So I would not describe this as a sea change at all. This was really, like we said in the last episode, preparation meeting opportunity. The Republicans gave us an opportunity we prepared, we put up great candidates up and down the ballot, and we capitalized on it. But beyond that, there's nothing else to it. Like, right, like people, our brand is still not great.
So let's talk about, that. And I guess we can start where, is the center of everything in Washington, with the shutdown and sort of like this faux Democrat confidence going on.
Mhm.
Um, the government has been shut down, I would say, what, 40 days almost, if not a little bit more than 40.
Yeah,
It's the longest shutdown in American history, basically.
yep, Donald Trump owns the longest and second longest shutdowns in government history,
Right.
all Donald Trump.
Right. And again, it's all built around, in case you aren't aware, is Democrats say it's built around health insurance and subsidies, that are under the Affordable Care Act, and they're about to expire. If they lapse, that means millions of Americans will see their premium skyrocket, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Um,
mhm.
and Republicans claim they want Democrats to reopen the government in exchange, for a vote on extending those subsidies.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Or what they say is we don't want to give insurance or health care to illegal immigrants.
Which already, doesn't happen, by the way.
Right, right.
Yeah, yep.
And so, it's basically them saying, look, we want to guarantee that if we pass this extension, um, not just vote on it, right?
Mhm.
And they are holding the line. First time we've ever seen Democrats hold to something and not really blink in quite some time.
Yeah, quite some time. But, I think the message discipline here is to be, applauded, but there's some risk, right, to that strategy. One of them is a government shutdown. Yes, we are trying to toe the line on that because we want to preserve access to healthcare for millions of Americans. But more things than just healthcare are impacted by a government shutdown, right? So there's been a lot of talk about SNAP benefits. Our military, they run the risk of not being paid. TSA, now you're starting to see flights be canceled. You're starting to see long delays in the airport. So when you just talk about one issue like healthcare, about something that goes so broad like a government shutdown, you also run the risk of people saying, well, what about the other things? I get it, healthcare is important, but like, right now I'm just, some people are just trying to get paid for going to work right now, and can we get to healthcare later? And so there's some risk there where having a singular focus on healthcare leaves us vulnerable to people thinking that we're not helping them with their immediate issue. But the other thing, which you and I wrote about in our most recent piece, the other danger is that like the longer this goes on, the patience of the public really wanes, and they don't really give a shit if it's Democrat or Republican. They just want you to open it. And I think that we are about really at that point or at the beginning of it. And so any political advantage that Democrats might have had, I think you got to be very careful with that because I think it turns very quickly. And I think we're at that point where the American people can't see the difference between either party. They just blame them all. And that's not good for us politically either. And so we need to come to the table. We need to get a deal. We need to get the government back open. And there's starting to be some serious conversations about that. I think for the first time, really, since this has happened. And I think that before Thanksgiving, we'll have this thing resolved because you're at a point now where, in foreign policy, they call it mutually assured destruction, right? And so that's like that's why we have nukes and like China has nukes, right? Because that's your protection. If you shoot yours, we'll shoot ours. So there's peace because neither side uses the nukes because they know it'll end up destroying their country as well. Well, that's where the Democrats and the Republicans are with this shutdown. They're getting into mutual assured destruction, and everybody's sitting around like we got to figure something out.
So here's kind of where the tension is. Trump told his uh,
Because he do what they say,
Republican.
they do what he say.
Well, he's saying we're getting killed politically, right? Like, and it's because of the shutdown. And so now you actually have um, centrist Democrats, who are trying to sit at the table with Republicans and see if they can negotiate a deal. And basically,
Mhm.
it's that back and forth between the progressives, like Warren and Bernie, um, who say if we cut a deal, it'll be um, showing voters that we're still weak,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And so they're begging them to stay strong. They're saying don't cut a deal. And now, I think people are feeling the pressure as we enter the holidays from the constituents. So like, look, just get the shit done, you know,
Mhm. Mhm.
not knowing what could play out in the end if they go to the table and explore this deal with the Republicans,
Mhm.
and not realizing that, there is still a centrist arm of the Democratic Party, which
Mhm.
most of them are, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That want to take this to the distance. They want to see how far they can take it.
Mhm.
And
You
I
know,
think progressives agree with them too.
well, my question for Bernie and Liz would be, and I respect Bernie. I would not say I love Bernie in the same way that I actually love Liz, even though I'm a little bit more in the center. But um, my question to them would be, to what end? You're saying don't fold now, keep this thing shut down, but to what end? And this to me gets to like the core tension between sometimes the more progressive side of the party and the more centrist side of the party. Whereas, a critique of progressives that I've always had is that they'd rather make a point than get anything done. So to me,
Hmm.
you're making a point by saying keep the government shut down, but it's not clear to me what you're getting done. So that's why I say, to what end? To what end do we leave it shut down? And so I don't think that that's good policy, and I also don't think it's good. Um, I don't think it's good policy, and I don't think that it's good politics. And so I would disagree with that. I think we've about gained, I think we're getting to the point where we've gained whatever we can gain here. Um, and I think what we wanted was leverage over the agenda because we don't control anything. I think we've gotten some leverage now. And we need to wield that and cut the deal that we can cut and get the government back open. And if you want to go further than that, then you know what, go out there and win some elections and take control of the Senate and the House back.
Well, so I guess essentially that's what they're saying. They're saying on one hand, we won with a message on the economy with Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, right, the race that caught the most attention was Mamdani in New York, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you
Mm-hmm.
have the view of talk about the economy, keep it focused on the issue that matters the most, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have affordability and working class
Mm-hmm.
politics on Mamdani. So it's like which one are you going with? Well, I think again we understand that both models work, right? It's not a
Mm-hmm.
this or that either or. It's both
Mm-hmm.
models work. You just have to understand and that you have to stay grounded
Mm-hmm.
on one universal message,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
one universal plan. Don't
Mm-hmm.
waver, don't bend, stay strong. Figure out who are the best people to articulate this, both to the media as well as to the public, right? Like
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
the media is going to portray it one way and the public is going to listen and grab it another way.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
and who are those people? Who are those people now, right? Like
mhm, mhm,
now that we said earlier that Pelosi is out, but do you want her carrying this water as her last hurrah? You
mhm,
know,
mhm.
she has the what 2027?
Uh,
Yeah,
January, yeah, that's when the new member will be seated. Yeah, well, I don't know, it depends on, if we take the House back because right now, the Republicans don't even seat all of the Democratic members. You see what's happening with Rahalva out in Arizona, where they
right.
refuse to even swear her in,
We
bec
actually haven't
bec
even talked about that.
yeah, yeah, well, you know, yeah, they refuse
So
to even
so
seat this woman, right? So I, I guess January 2027, but I think it depends on who control the House.
So essentially, if centrists or moderates
Hmm.
cut a deal that progressives hate, it could demoralize the base heading into 2026. That could also hinder what that looks like in terms of us taking back the House, right? Like,
Hmm.
and I think my theory has always been, fuck it, hold the line, right? Battles are won in the trenches. If this is football, the battle's won in the trenches on offensive and defensive lines. And right,
Hmm.
like we need our people to hold the line just to ensure that they are blocking and tackling, to support the strategy out there. Right. I get it. People need to be put back to work. Folks who are traveling, flights are crazy. You got veterans and veteran families who are getting affected from it. You got people who are currently in the military who are being affected by this. You
Hmm.
hey, Thanksgiving gonna be pretty bleak, right? Like uh what was that? Green bean casserole as most of y'all wasps are eating. It ain't gonna be that casserole. It's gonna be just some plain old green beans. You can't afford the cream and the French onions on top. Even though I don't eat that. Re-
I don't want to. I like the natural. I prefer some seasonings in the in the green beans and in the green bean juice. I don't want all that introduced. I prefer a more natural style of green bean.
And that natural style of green bean is hold the fucking line. hold the fucking line, right? Like,
Well, we're gonna see. Like I said, it depends on what's really happening in the room and how much leverage we got. I think we have some leverage. I think we're getting about as close to the maximum amount of leverage that we're going to have. I think we have to realize that you are dealing with a nonsensical president in his second term who does not have to run again. And was already, unpredictable even when he did have to run again. And you have a Republican Senate and party that is not a check on him at all. They do whatever he says. And so I think you got to really understand who you're really negotiating with, right? This is really a negotiation with Donald Trump. He's very unpredictable. I don't think he cares about this government being shut down. And so there are
well,
just realities to how much you're gonna get. And so that's why I go back to keep it shut down to what end? To what
I
end?
you know, I again, I don't think we really know because we've never really been in this position before.
With Trump, well, we did. He shut it down in his first term.
No, I mean beyond just like having it stay shut down in the middle of hell holiday season.
Well, usually they blink by then. I think usually both parties are like, let's stop passing the gun back and forth, playing Russian roulette. By that time, and that's where I think we really are. And I do suspect that before Thanksgiving, these guys are gonna come out of there and they're gonna have a some sort of an agreement. And I think the Democrats will get what they want on healthcare or something workable on healthcare. And we'll get the government back open. But I think we should. I think that it would be helpful to separate the two. What I get uncomfortable with right now is people talking about this in the sense of the politics. There's politics and there's policy. This should at this point should mostly just be a policy discussion because I think politically we've gotten everything we're gonna get from it. And extending this out is not good politics.
Um, who would you say is now leading the Republican Party in the Senate?
I think Thune is not like Johnson. Um, I think they actually respect Senator Thune. And so I think he has a pretty good read on his caucus, and he has their respect and keeps them together. But even with him, I mean, there are limits, man. Everybody listens to Trump.
Yeah. So so we kind of lost you there. I don't know if there's a hurricane coming in Florida. What happened
I
there?
don't know. What, you lost my sound?
Yeah, I lost your sound, lost your pitch, but you said don't. I think people respect them, and
Yeah, people respect Thune. And so I do think he has I think it's fair to say he has control of his caucus in the Senate. He's not like Mike Johnson in the House. Mike Johnson don't control nothing in the House.
so at what point are we going to start seeing Republicans make their play for 2026 and 2028? Right, like knowing that you got congressional races coming up, and knowing that you got
Mhm.
Senate races coming up, right? Particularly Georgia, South Carolina, Arizona, and New Hampshire,
Mhm.
right?
I think they've already started it, right? We've been talking about the voting rights case, the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, that's presently before the Supreme Court. I think they've already started, right? That's why they're pushing. He was pushing to have, to do the uh mid decade census count, right? All in redistricting, right? And all these different things. So I
Yeah,
think they're already there.
I think that's the long game, but I think to a point, this shutdown is going to backfire on them in their short game, which will in return affect that down the line as well, right? Like, because
Hmm.
if they can't seize the house how they think they are, and Democrats do a very successful job in kind of winning back the house, then
Hmm.
there's going to become a problem, and you might start seeing some vulnerable Republicans cave in the Senate as well, right? Like,
I do, but that factors into why I think before Thanksgiving, we're gonna have some sort of a deal, and the House is gonna have to accept whatever the Senate negotiates.
so what? How I say? What wrinkle does Pelosi play in this? Um,
Um, I don't think i-
she has to.
any. What do you mean?
She like how is she gonna go out on? She wants to go out on top. She's the type of gal who's gonna go out on top, right? And so being able to throw a wrench in someone's plan, she's over there concocting some kind of right. She did what she did with Prop 50. Give her props for that.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
she orchestrated something smart there, but like
Hmm.
she has a final trick up her sleeve. And she's gonna
Sure.
drop it just like in spades. She got that Joker, that deuce, baby. And she
Yeah.
ready to sit back and be like, nigga.
I think I don't even think that that's tied to the shutdown necessarily. I do think she has some other stuff up her sleeve, and we should, say, just for folks that don't know, Nancy Pelosi is first woman to be Speaker of the House, certainly the most
And only.
successful speaker, and only and the most successful speaker of either gender in our lifetime. Announced her retirement at the end of this term next year. And so I do think that it's a loss for the party, right? Like, she's not the speaker anymore, she's not in leadership anymore, but I do think just her presence, just in the Capitol, right, as a member
Mm.
of the caucus, reigns supreme. And most people, when they're not speaker anymore, they don't continue to serve. And she continued to serve, um, because, I think out of concern, around the country, uh, with the Trump presidency, with the Trump administration, and I think she still knew that she had a lot to contribute. And you mentioned like the work she did with Prop 50 there. So I agree with you. I think she has some stuff. She's mid 80s, 85, I believe. I thought
85.
she might try to, and she's in great shape, but I knew and believed that she wanted to leave things in a way that he wasn't the president, but we kept messing it up. So
I mean, so we're not talking about anybody who was just like a run of the mill congresswoman, right? Like
mm-mm,
she
mm-mm.
was a closer. She is a
Mm-mm.
closer, right? You want to
Mhm.
talk about someone who corralled 218 votes?
Mhm.
She could get it. She knew where the votes lied, whether it was,
Mhm.
anything from Obamacare to infrastructure. She got it done. But she was
Got it
also, and
done.
this is the void that we're realizing. She was the fundraiser in chief, right?
That's right. That's right.
Right, like she could raise money for, Democratic campaigns, not just congressional members, but local races as well.
Mhm.
Right. This is a woman who helped raise over $1 billion when it came to Democratic candidates. So,
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
there's nothing to laugh at. And the
Mm-mm.
question you ask yourself, why do you think she never sought higher office? Was it just that pursuit for House Speaker and being the first, female Speaker of the House? Or because I mean, keep in mind this woman comes from a lineage of political leaders, right? Her dad
Mhm.
was mayor of Baltimore,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
nothing to sneeze at.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Um, I I don't know, man. Some people are just they call them creatures of the house, right? And I think she liked the House of Representatives. Um and that's just where she was, right? And also like in California, man, because it's so stacked on the Democratic side, there it's not often opportunities where even offices open up for you to really run, and I think she came to the House of Representatives later in her career. She was a fundraiser. She was active in the DNC, chairwoman of the California Democratic Party. And then there became a vacancy and she became a congresswoman and quickly rose up the ranks, breaking barriers until she became our first woman Speaker of the House back in 2006. And so, so I think that's a lot of the reason. I think she actually liked the House of Representatives and liked working there, and people quickly gleaned on to her organizing abilities and her leadership capabilities, and she rose up the ranks. And I think she saw that as her what best suited her and what was her fastest pathway to maximum power, and she wielded it well. She wielded it well, and I think about also one thing that just crossed my mind too is there was a lot more civility when she
Mm,
became speaker. I remember George Bush's first State of the Union because at the State of the Union, the vice president and the Speaker of the House sit behind the president, and so it was Bush, Cheney, who's passed away, and here recently, and then there's Nancy Pelosi. And George Bush said, "It's my honor to be the first president to ever say what I'm about to say." And he turned to her and said, "Madam Speaker." Here's he presented her with his State of the Union, right? That had never happened before, but it was a nice nod uh, even though they were on opposite sides, right? It was just a nice nod to her accomplishments, right? And what she represented. And so I think she leaves a long legacy. I think it's going to be sorely missed leadership, but so much of her time in the later years where people were saying she needs to get off the stage, she needs to go on, you need to let the young folks lead. All right, well, now y'all got it. So let's see what y'all going to do with it. And to your point, when you said like the money, the fundraising, and everything else, that's one of those examples where I'm just like, yeah, I was trying to rush her up out of here, but I don't see what the hell the plan is. Or quite frankly, I don't see where any of you are quite ready to step into those shoes and do the things that she did. And I used to say, because there were some challenges to her leadership. And I used to always say, they would talk crap about her, but nobody would ever step up and come forward and challenge her when she was
mm,
running for speaker or running to be our leader. And my whole point was if you aren't tough enough or smart enough to take this from her, then how can we think you're tough enough or strong enough to negotiate with the Republicans? So if you can't even take the leadership position from her, then you're not the baddest motherfucker in here. She is. And so that means she needs to be our leader, right? And I
right.
still stand by that. I would have let her be leader as long as she wanted to do it. And
So
I'm a moderate, and she's liberal Nancy, but I love Nancy Pelosi.
uh, going through because I remember somebody talking about her diet and what she eats, right? Like this is a
Chocolate.
woman who start. Just starts her day with a scoop of chocolate ice cream and
Chocolate. That's all she
hot
does.
lemon water, and
Yes.
she has a hot dog every day for lunch,
See?
right?
Mm, mm,
And she for a snack, she's eating like a Slim Jim or a meat stick, right? It's just like it's crazy. Uh,
mhm.
listen, powerful
And has
woman.
more energy than people have her age, bro.
Well, when you get to that age, you can't stop. You got to keep going because if you stop, that's when it sets in. You know,
Well, and a lot of them, it literally is use it or lose it, and that's why like a lot of these member of Congress stay there, right? Like, look at everything that's happening with like Eleanor Holmes Norton, another person that I admire and revere, but like, it's time to go. It's been time. This is like, when it's time to take the keys from grandma, because she got to stop driving. That's where we are with like her. But a lot of these folks, man, they sit in those seats because it's like, well, what happens if I go?
right? And the person I think of, and I don't know why I think of this person because they're vile and visceral, but Coach Paterno,
Mm, mm,
right? Like when all that stuff came out about what he allowed to happen at Penn State,
mm-hmm.
and they vilified him. And sure enough, the minute they got rid of him, like a month later, he passed away. Right?
Yeah,
Just like
yeah,
once so, but you being that age and that active, like you have to keep pushing because it's legit what is keeping you alive. And so it'll be good to interesting to see what the second half or third half or fourth quarter of what she has left looks like. Similar with President Biden, right? Like, him going through the treatments that he's going through and dealing with his cancer prognosis, right?
mm-hmm.
But I bet you he feels a lot different now being out of that stressful job as being president, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was the other thing that gets into, the whole age discussion around his time as president. Ronald Reagan went through the same thing. Um,
Well, they
you know,
completely covered up his last 2 years of his administration.
Reagan, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Kind of what
Absolutely.
they're doing with Trump right now.
I've heard a lot of people have said that and raised some questions, but you forget like he's 80 as well, right? And I go back to, our fellow Georgian, one of the greatest Georgians ever, Jimmy Carter. Remember, he pissed a lot of
The
people off. He pissed a lot of people off when he said this, but he said, I've been 80 and I've been president, and I can tell you should not be both at the same time.
mm, mm,
And he
facts.
said, the amount of reading alone that you have to do as
Hey,
president.
just
He's like, I can't imagine it. And, I remember working in the White House, and I remember just my part of the book that would go to the president. That's just my part. He's getting other parts.
hmm.
And he's going to read all this tonight. And yeah, you get it back the next day with like notes.
Well, speaking of
So,
presidents,
yeah.
I think because we're talking about Pelosi, we're talking about Trump, we're talking about sort of having the mental capacity, and I think now the presidency means a little more. It's a little more different. I think Clinton kind of started the domino effect of a social president, right? Like, um,
Bubba.
but Obama, but then Obama elevated it to more of a cultural thing when the introduction of social media, and then Trump,
Mm-hmm.
of course, set the motherfucker on fire with how he was attacking things, and now going into 2028, now that Virginia elections and Jersey elections are over, now we're getting ready to go to the start of the 2028 season,
Mm-hmm.
right? The front runner now, and if anybody's going to ask, anybody to tell you, is Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. And I'm gonna start calling him Petty Pendergrass
Yeah.
because, hey, listen, my boy's petty. He don't play, right? You don't like Gavin for his reasons. I rocks with Gavin because I just want somebody in there just to be like da 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 da, and he's throwing them. He's throwing
I
them.
I wanna be clear about something. It's not that I don't like Gavin Newsom. I do. I don't want anybody to think I don't like him. I actually did work. When they did that silly recall against him in 2021, and I did work on that to keep him in office. I love Gavin Newsom, but I like him for what he does as governor. Right. Anytime I make a face like that about Gavin Newsom is because I just don't believe at all in any world where he is a viable candidate for president. I think he'll raise a lot of money. I think he'll run, and I think like after Super Tuesday he'll be out. Like country is not about to make Gavin Newsom president. They're not.
The country don't know who they want to make president,
It ain't
and
gonna be Gavin Newsom
folks are feeling him right now, and the
right
problem is
now.
right,
Sure,
exactly. The problem
right
is right
now.
now, right?
Yeah, sure.
Um, you know, his star is rising, and I don't see anybody mounting a social campaign the likes of him. Nobody's hitting back at Trump the way Gavin is, right? Like,
And how many clients have you told who said that same stuff to you? We should be on Twitter. We should be social media. Social media. That's how we reach the people. And how many people, how many clients of yours have you told that that is nonsensical and that that is
mostly,
not what wins?
mostly all of them. You want to know why? Because they asses were not governor already. They asses did not have the platform to where it could boost. And so he already has the platform and he's showing you, listen, and also the guy is very handsome, okay? He's just a handsome, listen, got the hair slicked back, the Pat Riley thing going on. He's a jackass. You know what I'm saying? He kind of reminds you of a Ari Gold meets Ferris Bueller.
And here's the other thing that I think will help him, right? I look, he is formidable. I just don't think ultimately he'll pull it off. He's from, and then I want to ask you a question too. But he's formidable, and then I think one of the things people don't appreciate about him too is that because so much of this is looks and aesthetics, right? Even for the guys, more so the case for the women, unfortunately, but even for the guys. Um, so Gavin's tall. People don't realize how
Mm,
tall Gavin Newsom is.
mhm,
And it doesn't come across on TV. So like it does look like you're looking at like this California celebrity. When he walks into a room, he has a presidential presence, shall we say.
mhm.
He does. I just don't see the country or Democrats nominating a governor from California. Um, I don't. And part of the reason is because California is what Atlanta is to Georgia. The rest of the country hates California. Like, so you look at all the key battleground states, and he's gonna go to Wisconsin and he's gonna say, "This is what I did in California." Nobody wants to live in California.
Yeah, but leaders are rewarded when they do the right thing. And right now, what people see is he's standing up in this moment and he's fighting back, right? Like fighting
In
back for
20
Texas.
in 2025, they'll give him a nice John F. Kennedy Profile and Courage Award and wish him well in his retirement.
And
You gonna get me excommunicated from the state of California, and I need to be able to go out there to watch my Lakers. You starting stuff, Richard McDaniel,
well, no, I ain't starting shit.
getting me in trouble. Got me
Um,
saying too much today.
listen, let's see how the next 2 months play out, right? Let's see how the next two, because I personally think, that we may have a new president in 6 months.
I'm not going there with you on that.
Yeah, well, I don't expect you to,
Mm-mm, not doing that.
but the theories are out there, and I there's you when you are an elected official
Mm-hmm.
chasing the presidency, right? There's an element of social media that you have to play into, and nobody's doing it like Gavin.
I agree. He deserves that. I think it's a great amount of credit for it. It's kind of like, but it's kind of like we were talking about, like Mondani, right? It's about what you can learn from it. It's about what you can take away, like,
Right,
right from
right.
it, and there should be room for all of it in the party. And I think there's a lot that we can take from Gavin Newsom, but I think the biggest thing that works to his benefit, that all Democrats need to understand, is that the reason people appreciate Gavin Newsom so much is because he's matching energy, and Democrats need to match energy. They do. They need to match energy, and then they just need to push through their agenda and get it done. And there are lots of things you can say about Gavin Newsom, love him or hate him, but he matches energy and he pushes shit through and gets it done. And that's what he did with Prop 50, and the country is better off because of his leadership, but I just don't think that any of it is going to materialize in a way that benefits his presidential campaign. I personally think that the person who is likely to be the nominee is probably somebody we're not even talking about right now. That's on nobody's radar for real. It's true.
Ugh, I'm sorry. My phone has been. I'm cutting this short, right? Like, my phone has been blowing up, and my mother just sent me a text.
Uh
So
oh,
just yeah, yeah, bro.
Mama
So
Ruby.
my nephew was sorry. So breaking news here in the Southern Comfort Podcast. When for those listeners here, you about to enter in the realm of black family, black familyness. My niece was just suspended for 10 days. She got caught
Mm-hmm.
having a vape pen with THC in it. The
Mm.
suspension may be extended to 90 days. We're
I
gonna
don't
spend
even
the
think you
last
should. Yeah, I don't even think you should be allowed to suspend kids for 90 day. How is she possibly? Well, anyway, we could talk about it. I imagine during those 90 days, she's able to continue her schoolwork, possibly just not on campus. But I'm like, how can you suspend a child for 90 days of school?
90 days.
And you're gonna keep her suspended for 90 days, disrupt her education for something that in many instances is legal. Now, granted, she's a child. I understand that, but that
Well,
doesn't make any sense to me.
but again, here's the thing that we need to think about again in this era, right? Like we are
Mhm,
still trying to regulate with laws that are archaic and ancient, right? Like we have to figure out a way to move forward with you know how lives are being lived right now, right?
mhm,
Like
mhm, mhm,
and really like know what battles we need to fight. And so this is the same front we're talking about with the Democrats, right? Like
mhm,
even when we talk about like the 2028 elections and how Newsom should be playing it out, social media, these things. He understands that that's the language he speaks. Right now,
mhm,
we have a 76-year-old black man from rural Georgia who's running for governor who is talking about we need to take people back to school for AI. What he's actually saying is, I need to go back to school for AI because I still think that that's Allen Iverson, right? Like, and so there's an
mhm,
element that we are still behind in how we education policy, what I'm saying? Just like housing policy. And so is that reflecting in the leadership that we are elected now and then even the leadership that we have in place now? Even to the donor class, and this is something I wanted to touch on today, is like
mhm,
the donor class in Democratic politics is still of a certain ilk and time of these are the type of leaders that we want and we want to see. Well, those aren't the
mhm,
leaders that are coming forth anymore,
mhm,
right? There's a
mhm,
new
mhm.
wave of leaders and there still needs to be a new wave of donor class and trying to get this new wave of donors to understand this is why you need to step up to the plate and put your money where your mouth is, right?
Yeah,
Like
they
we
they need
we
to
do a
embrace a different way of thinking.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
and when I see that text about my niece and it's just another thing that we have to work on, understanding that my way of talking to them isn't the way that how they listen or how they take in information, right? Like, you can yell at me and Imma pay attention, right? Like, but that doesn't work for everybody. Like,
Mhm,
you
mhm,
you the worst thing you could do is say, "I'm disappointed in you," and that would
mm,
get me back in line. I tell
mhm,
them that, they don't even know how to spell disappointed. So it's just
mm,
like,
mhm, mhm, mhm,
and it was always my thing about coaches, right? You have to be able to, as a coach, yeah, you have your way of coaching, but you have to be able to adjust to your players, not expecting your players to adjust to you, right? And that's how we are now. That's how voters are now. You have to adjust to the voters, and you have voters in different blocks, right? Like the race we just
mhm.
got off of, you know, here's one thing that troubled me. We need to get the young people activated. I can get the young people activated. I'm gonna tell you right now, no. You're not getting them activated unless you actually invest the time and money into them. And if you're not doing
Takes
that, they don't
months.
takes months.
Yeah,
Months. Just because you say it
month
and it sounds good don't mean it's actual real.
takes months, and, to your point, I would just add, this piece of advice I give all my candidates is that, like, you have to meet voters where they are. And that's just a basic tenet of communication. You have to meet people where they are before you can move them to where you want them to be. And so, like, you're talking about how you talk to your niece or young folks and everything else, you got to understand where they are and you got to meet them there first before you can move them. There's a reason, there's the reason there's the vape and THCs and all those other things. You got to understand all of that before you can go in on a lecture about how that's not something that should be occurring. But I also believe too that, like, we also got to get away from these situations where we just want to make points about things and not
Mm.
actually get anything done. To suspend her for 90 days is just making a point. It's unclear to me what exactly you expect to get done by sending a child home from school for 90 days for doing things that children do. She needs to be, yes, does it need to be addressed? But this is what raising a child is, right? They don't come out knowing all the right things. You have to raise them. And so I don't understand how the school, we're just going to absolve ourselves of all responsibility here and just send you home for 90 days.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, okay, I guess you're making a point that we're tough on this stuff, but it's just not clear to me what you expect to get done by sending a child home for 90 days because they brought a vape, which, by the way, most of their teachers vape. But anyway.
And probably got it in the class.
And yes, and there's prior work that I used to do, like, on the corporate side, focused on, like, the vaping issue. And one of the things that I helped to set up and establish was a unit that it was retired law enforcement. It would investigate uh, instances of vapes. And then they would complete investigations and we would turn those over to law enforcement who would then follow up. Man, a couple times it was school resource officers that was selling it to the kids at
Mm.
school,
Mm.
right? Because we're trying to understand and identify what are the breakdowns in the law and the regulations that's making it easier for kids to be able to access this. And lo and behold, the adults were buying it and giving it to the children. And so again, there's so many other questions, right? Before we go to, we're going to send her home for 90 days. But
Yeah, man. I and I think this is the troubling side that you and I have sleepless nights over, right? Like,
mhm,
you and I know that the horrors that are out there, we see it, but like dealing with, polling and numbers and just being entrenched in campaigns, when you see great candidates out there who, if they had a little funding or support behind them, they could
mhm,
actually do some things that invoke some real change.
mhm,
Um, you see the things that go on in places like Sandy Hook and the school
mhm, mhm,
shootings,
mhm,
right? You want the best for your children. We honestly do this for the future and the past, right? The God looks out for two, the foolish and the elderly. So the young folk and the old folk, right? Everybody else, like y'all in between, just need to fall in line
Hold on. Yeah.
and just like just play your part and support the foolish and the elderly, right? Because you hopefully one day become old, and guess what? There was a time where you were young, dumb, and just foolish and did dumb things, and we
Yes, you
have to
did
ensure
childish things. That's what she did. She did things that children do. And sending her home for 90 days does what exactly?
nothing, nothing,
What does that do?
nothing,
How
nothing,
does that
nothing.
serve her and position her and do the work that you need to do to actually raise your what does that do? How is that the answer? Remember that example? I think it was in Detroit. That young kid, he was cutting hair in the boys' bathroom, and they suspended him.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
was very
yeah, yeah.
critical of that. And thankfully, some area barbers, kind of recognized that and brought him in and gave him like an apprenticeship program. That's what you should do, right? Like, how are we suspending him? Yes, he can't continue to cut hair in the bathroom for all these reasons, but the answer to that isn't to disrupt his education. Like, clearly the boy is resourceful. He has an interest in something. Like, raise him, nurture it, right? Instead of saying, we're just going to send you away.
So you saying the local dope dealer need to come in, wrap their arms around my niece,
No, what
like you
I'm
need to
saying,
bag that shit up? No,
but what I'm saying, no, but what I am
yeah.
saying is that they need to evaluate the curriculum. This is a whole other episode. They need to evaluate the curriculums in school and understand that there is a mismatch between the curriculums in school and the interest of kids and actually giving them skills and preparing them for the world. They need to recognize that some of our kids are just bored because the curriculum in some of these schools is futile. Like, and I will give you an example. I ain't used a parabola yet. I
A
don't
who?
know why exactly a parabola. I've
Wh-
not used one yet. I don't know why I
Can
had to spend so much time uh
can
focused
you
on
spell it?
that. Nope.
And
And guess
therefore you
what, Richard?
shouldn't use it.
Don't need to. Ain't needed to use it yet. Ain't got one check yet that was in a parabola. Okay. So, and I have several jobs, and not a one of them have I ever been paid in a
The
parabola. Okay.
the
So
only thing that in school that was a great tool that they didn't want us using, that we still use to this day, is that damn calculator.
yeah, it's on
You
your
know what I'm
phone.
saying?
Yes, yes, and I just feel like anyway, this is a longer conversation. I feel like every kid, I'm very passionate about this. Every kid should graduate high school with a certified trade or skill that they can they so that they are prepared to go into the workforce at 18 should they choose to do that, right? They can certainly continue on and get a college education and everything else. But, like, for example, adult stuff here, I had a guy out. I have to get a new roof on my house. Had a guy come out today. It was a great conversation. But even something like that, right? Based on the invoice I just got, it seems like you make good money fixing roofs. Um, why can't, if you got a kid that's interested in that learning, why is that not something they can start learning in high school and you come out ready to go work for the roofing company if that's what you want to do, you know? And we don't understand that if you get kids interested in those types of things, you actually pay them, right, while they're in school participating in these programs. And under the condition that you have to stay enrolled in school, that is the policy that I want and that I'm passionate about, because you will see so many ripple effects. You will see a reduction in absenteeism and truancy in schools because they're going to come to school because they want to keep doing the trades because they want to keep getting paid. You'll see a reduction in that. You'll see a reduction in the number of our young people that are involved in the criminal justice system because of that. And the taxpayers are getting an added return on their investment because school becomes a place where we're already preparing kids for the workforce.
Mhm.
right? You know, we should kids not only should they and they should have a choice, right? You can graduate with a trade or you can graduate with an associate's degree. Some of the stuff in college, like I said, my mom had me in college at 16. Some of this stuff they ain't gotta wait till they get to 18 or 19. You can start taking that
No.
stuff at 16 and go ahead and graduate college, graduate high school, sorry, with your high school diploma and an associate's. So all I'm saying is that you're lashing out upset with this child and sending her home for 90 days, but that's your failure. That's the system's failure.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
trying to understand why you think sending her home for 90 days fixes a damn thing. So let me know. Cause so when y'all do the little conference with the school, let me know. I'm available. I love to get on it. I have
Well,
several things I like
there's
to
a
relay.
whole 'nother well, her brother was suspended yesterday for 2 days.
Well, what'd he do?
So, uh, he didn't report that in-school suspension. I listen.
Cause so it's ineffective. So again, I get making the point. I understand it. It is a community effort. Yes, it ultimately goes back to the family and they have to shoulder it and carry it. But I don't think that's an effective policy for the school to say, all right, you were gonna send you home for 90 days. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Get out of
Yeah,
here.
listen. Well, that's just another thing on the plate of the shit we gotta deal with, right? Like,
Yep.
alright, so how how we're closing this out. We were talking about the donor class and how, I think there's a thing called the welcome pack, right? Like, the welcome pack is basically, backed by, major Democratic strategists. Essentially, is a pitch to donors to fund moderates who talk about or who run on the economy. And they're not wrong, but they're also wrong in realizing you do that and turn your backs on the potential Mom Donnies out there, you lose a voting block of 18 to 30-year-olds or 40-year-olds that we need who, don't speak politics of post civil rights era, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and because
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially what the Dawn class is. They're still thinking that this is the early 90s, late 80s, beginning 2000s, where, um, candidates come from like a certain black background. They have a certain
Mm-hmm.
pedigree. And
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
not the case anymore, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
just how we talked about the working class voter isn't a person in a factory wearing a hard hat and a lunch pail, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
same. It's the same when it comes to voters. Right now, voters are paying attention now more so than ever because they realize what's really at stake.
Mm-hmm.
And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to pay them any mind, they're just going to go about it and do things the way they want to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think you
man.
make a good point about that. I did read that report. I, I've always marveled at the effectiveness of moderates, particularly minority moderates. Right, I would put like Warnock in that category. You look at a lot of the groundbreaking candidacies, um, and a lot of times it is minorities who run as moderates. And Mandani ran as an economic populist. But that fit the times that he was in. But I think you make a great point about maybe it's not being that prescriptive to say it's moderates every time. I think it's more about authenticity and funding candidates that are authentic to the communities that they're running in. Um, and really meet the times, and that can look a lot of different. That can look a lot of different ways, right? Like like I said, I've said a million times, right? I'm more in the middle. I'm a more of a definitely a centrist, moderate Democrat, but you've heard me talk so, glowingly about people like a Liz Warren or Nancy Pelosi. Ideologically, I don't sit on the same side, of the Democratic Party as them necessarily, but why do I love them? Their authenticity.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
real. They got ideas,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
got ideas. Nancy gets shit done. It's her effectiveness. Liz Warren has all the ideas in the world. And when she speaks to the working class getting screwed, she's effective, and that's part of the reason why I give her a lot more credit than I give Bernie, because I think Bernie talks a lot, whereas she actually puts in the work to figure out how you actually do it.
Yeah. Well, I always say with Senator Warren, it was always right. Like she really had real lived experiences. And one
Mhm,
of the things that, when I got on her campaign and what I was pushing is I heard her tell the story about how she was a single mom. And I was like, well, look, that's your hook. That
mhm,
the stories you're telling when you're in anywhere, but particularly in the South, is how
mhm.
you had to teach your child how to be potty trained so you can get him in a daycare, and how you
Yes,
did
'cause you
that
had to work.
in right, because you had to work,
You
and
had to work.
how you took yourself back to school to get a degree, and how you divorced your husband, right? Like
Mhm,
people
mhm,
can resonate with those stories because they're genuine, they're authentic.
mhm,
They are
mhm,
going through those same lived experiences, particularly
mhm.
in the empowerment when we talk about women and having their seat at the table and fighting for a voice, right? Like you did that. And
Mhm,
look at where you are now, right? Like um and I think we definitely more of that. That's one of the reasons why we like Christian
mhm,
and the
mhm,
way he is and how he approaches things. He is, dedicated father. He's a good friend, great brother, right? Like, just all around great guy. Just wants listen. I tell my nieces and nephews to call Christian and talk to him. If you don't want to talk to me, call your attorney, because
Might need him now. Get out of this damn 90 days, yeah. Might need to call their attorney.
every one of my nieces and nephews have called Christian for some legals. Every okay. My sister sends her friends to Christian, right? Like
Mhm,
he
mhm,
stays afloat for my family alone.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
But again, it just speaks to the type of person that he is. And, the more voters realize that, and even after the races that he lost, people
mhm.
look back and be like, damn, we actually missed one not getting you in because when you dedicate yourself to something, you dedicate yourself to the people. And that's who he is, he's a
Yes.
person of the people. So,
Yeah.
you know, hopefully we can continue to get some quality in offices and positions to do some change, right? Like, you got a guy that I met and was just like amazed at, and hopefully we get to work with them at some level
Mhm,
again. And
mhm.
but listen, this is episode 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, whatever you want to call it. Um, we have a lot of things to like look forward to in the next coming months. I know next week you and I will finally be back um, in
Back in
studio.
studio together. Yeah.
Uh, hopefully we can get one or two more special guests in. Like you said, we're going to end right before Christmas. I think we'll probably cut it off
Mhm.
with the episode, and you know,
I think it's
hopefully,
only right that we come back for Black History Month.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, and hopefully, we can answer some things um, in terms of like the generational shift in Democrat politics,
Mhm,
especially as we hopefully come out of this shutdown with the American public, the people who need to go back to work, feeling more comfortable and at least hopeful about the leadership that is slated to come down the pipeline, and the ones that are rising up to become ambitious leaders to help replace some of the legends that we're losing right now. Right, like
mhm.
I wonder with Pelosi retiring, what does that mean for people like Clyburn?
If they don't draw his district,
Again,
he might be auto auto retired.
I mean, we're gonna see, right? The next 3 weeks is gonna tell a lot.
Yep, for real.
Conversations are gonna change over the dinner table after Thanksgiving, both in the political spaces and non-political spaces, right? Like, and we're gonna see who's genuinely taking a shift in how they approach things now that we see a kind of blueprint on what works and what doesn't work in terms of gaining a victory. So,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah,
Lots to continue to break down for sure.
yeah. All right, Kev, you got a Mamba moment for this week?
I'm gonna give it to my dog. She turns 11 today. We're proud of her.
Oh, listen, Daisy, happy birthday. I'm gonna send a steak bone your way.
She's gonna want that to be through security for sure before she takes it. Just understanding the history of y'all's relationship.
Listen, there was she brought it on herself.
No, she didn't. You started
She
with
brought
her.
it on herself. I didn't start shit with her.
He? Okay. All right.
I don't start shit with no damn
Okay.
animal.
Okay. It's
Only thing I start
literally
with an animal is a is a bite.
it's literally a it's literally a 14-pound dog. So I'm just putting her up here so everybody can see this is who Richard beefs with.
No, not on
She won't
beef.
even she won't even look at you. Like this
On
is
beef.
this is who he finds fault with. So anyway, happy 11th birthday, Daisy.
Happy birthday,
That's my
Daisy.
mama moment. That's my mama moment.
I guess. I guess. All right, y'all. We really appreciate y'all listening. Can't wait to get back in the studio. Holler at our boy Dre. All is well that ends well. Y'all stay blessed.
Yes.
Continue to uh, engage yourselves, educate yourselves. You know what I'm saying? And read up, read up. We got a
Yeah.
big fight ahead of us.
Yeah. Stay away from that green bean casserole. You don't need that.
Yes, please stay away from that
You
green
don't
bean casserole
you don't need that.
and pumpkin pie. Right?
No, we're gonna have to do a whole Thanksgiving episode here.
Done,
All right, done.
done,
Peace.
done. All right,
Thank
done.
you.
All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace.